there's a big one. What? This is a big one. Freaking 2 turns on the handle. It's been a slow day. This is a big fish, guys. Yes. Get up in here. Whew, I thought he was bigger than that, but good grief. It's been a tough day. What's going on, guys? This is Gene Jensen. And I want to talk about the rods that I always have in my boat. You know, I just got a new rod sponsor. I understand that. But I've taken my time figuring what rods I like and which ones I don't like and which ones work really good for the way that I fish. And there's a certain 4, maybe 5 rods that always end up in my boat, they end up being the most versatile rods that I have. So I want to go through those and show them to you. But man, he fought like a lot bigger than that. But man, look at that nice fish. Sweet. I got to thinking, you know, there's a certain number of rods that seem to always be in my boat because I feel like they're the most versatile and they work the best for the way that I fish. And I want to go through those rods, and there's one in particular that's really special that I'm going to leave to the end. But anyway, let's jump in it. The first one that I found to be probably the most versatile for aggressive style of fishing, or the aggressive style of fishing that I fish, the things I do with a jig, the things I do with a swim jig, the things I do with a Texas rig, and this rod is good for a lot of that stuff. Jigs, Texas rigs, anything with a beefier hook, but it's still got enough flex in the rod tip to be able to use these open hook, swim bait style. It's a good chatterbait rod. It's a little bit stiff for me, but it's a decent chatterbait rod. But that is the Asagi Freestyle. Okay, let's see if I can get you guys to see that. Asagi Freestyle, and I've got it paired up with a Mega Jaws. This is a 7.2-to-1. And what this is a 7'6" medium heavy. It's a good Carolina rig rod as well. I caught a big one yesterday on Gunnersville on a Carolina rig using this rod. But I've got 17-pound test fluorocarbon on it. This is Seagar AbrazeX fluorocarbon. And it is a very versatile rod for those, like I said, for those heavier, more aggressive style baits that you use. You can really hammer a jig home. You can do a lot of different things. It skips well. For being a 7'6" rod, it skips underneath docks and things like that very, very well. And when I first got this one, I was like, man, that almost, I don't know what it feels like. I just got to figure it out. And I did. I've put a lot of different baits on this rod to figure out what I like and what I don't like. Let me do something real quick. Wind's starting to pick up. Let me put a wind screen on this microphone. I knew this was going to happen. So we've had dead calm wind all day, and the minute I start videoing, we get a little bit of wind to pick up. So put a little bit of a wind screen on and keep on going. All right, so the next rod is the one I just used to catch that fish, and it is they call it the Asagi Getting Jiggy rod. Okay, so, and it is a 7'3" medium fast, and it's what I throw a lot of chatterbaits on if I'm not aggressively fishing them. If I'm just slow winding them over cover and over a hard bottom and not in the grass. If when I get in the grass, I'll grab the freestyle rod and I'll use it or something similar. I like a little bit more backbone, but it's a really good spinnerbait. It's a really good light jig. Like it's tied on. I use Picasso tungsten football heads, and they've got really, really light wire hooks, which I love because you don't have to set the hook hard. You just pull tight. It's really good Texas rig rod. If you're using like a light wire hook, like the G-Finesse straight shank worm hooks that I use, really, really good for that. I've got 15-pound test fluorocarbon on it. This is also a AbrazeX, and another Mega Jaws 7.2-to-1 gear ratio reel. But just a fun rod, and it covers a lot of that middle of the ground style of baits and weight baits. Okay, and when I choose a rod, I usually, the hook set and what I can do with the bait without without working too hard, it really makes more of a difference than anything for me when I'm choosing a rod. So, and I want it to be stiff enough to be able to set the hook, but I want it to be limber enough to be able to let that fish fight without losing them. And that's where that one really comes in handy. So the next one is actually one that I have two of the same rod in the boat because I use it so much. And it is the Speed Demon jig worm rod. It's a 7'3" medium, I think, yeah, 7'3" medium. Got a lot of flex in it. It's really good for spinner baits. I've got one of those jigs on there that I was talking about, the Picasso jigs. It's good for light wire jigs. It's good for the Mini Max chatterbait. I freaking love it for a Mini Max because it casts lighter baits very, very well. But it's still got enough backbone to be able to fight a big fish. I've also got 15-pound test, a 15-pound test of Brazex on here, but I've got it paired with their MG12, Kasking's MG12 rod. It's a 7:5-to-1 gear ratio reel, but if you look, the spool is really, really small. So a 7:5-to-1, the line pickup on this spool is like a 6:5-to-1, probably in the 6-speed. So understand that if you're getting a 7:5-to-1, it's going to be a slow pickup than what you expect from a 7:5-to-1, just because that spool is so small to keep this reel really light. This reel is really good for like BFS stuff. I know it's not their BFS reel, but if you're going to cast light baits, it's also good for that. I just like how light it is, just for the techniques that I use and that kind of stuff. But if I had to choose, I'd put another one of those Speed Demon reels on here. I just put this on here just to try it out. So just great reel, great rod. The jig, the 7'3" is another one that's just good for moving baits. It's good for large square bills, like like this one right here. You know, this is a 5.0, large square bills, deep diving crankbaits, that kind of stuff. If you fish them aggressive like I do, and you need a little bit more backbone than say a medium, heavy, moderate rod would have. So it's a good one. All right, so in the other jig worm, 7'3" jig worm rod I have on there, it has a lipless crankbait on it. I was fishing this one yesterday. It's got a Mega Jaws 7.5-to-1 or 7.2-to-1 gear ratio reel. So, all right, so the last one I don't have rigged up. It had a shaky head on it, and I just took it. The line got all screwed up, and I just took it off and put it back in the bag. But I want to talk about this rod right here. Okay, this is the Asagi. They're calling it the Sniper. It is a 6'4" medium fast, so it's really, really short. And when I first saw this rod, I was like, I am not gonna like this rod. I mean, what would I use it for? It just doesn't make any sense to me, a short little medium rod. And then I put a shaky head on it and fished a tournament on Lake Lanier, and I fell in love with it. It's one of those deals, you know, in your life where you see something you don't really like, but once you start trying it out, you think to yourself, where has this been my whole life? You know, that kind of stuff. It's a little exaggerated, but that's kind of how I felt. It is a fun rod to fish. It is I would call it a BFS rod because I like medium rods for BFS. I actually have their Kestrel BFS reel on it, and I've got 15-pound braid on there, and I run either 6 or 8-pound leader, and it really does handle. I mean, you skip really good. My last video I just launched about the tournament I fished on Chatoog, I was skipping a wacky rig, a weightless wacky rig under docks with this thing. I was in the tournament before that, I was skipping shaky heads up underneath docks. Just that short rod makes it a lot more accurate, and it's really good for finesse techniques. Now, this is one that I recommend you get it as an extra rod. Don't take my word for it. Try it out. It is a lot of fun to fish. The Asagi Sniper. You can pick these things up at KastKing.com. I'll leave a link down in the description. Take a look at the rods, take a look at the reels, and a lot of the other stuff that you'll see videos throughout the next several months from me. But like I always say, be sure to introduce somebody to fishing. Introduce them to my channel. Let me help you teach them how to fish. More importantly, get out on the water, go out and catch some fish, and have a great day. We'll see you.